How about now? Oh, maybe. Technical issues, but we got there in the end. It just wouldn't be me if there wasn't a little bit of technical issues going on. There we go. Oh, thank you so much for the follows, people. Welcome to the Thursday stream. Yeah, as I was saying, which you probably saw me playing my hair is super duper whooper floofy. Thank you so much. Are you here for the 100 bits? We haven't had hot water for a while, and then about an hour ago I got hot water back. So I went for a shower and deep washed my hair, and now it's all floofy doofy. Hi everyone. So first things first, you probably noticed a music change. I wasn't playing my normal We Talk of Dreams music. I was playing the Shadows at the Door Season 2 soundtrack, which I made in collaboration. Oh, Cass, thank you so much for gifting tier 1, 5 tier 1 gift subs. Hey, Gabriella. Hey, everyone. Yeah, let's chat about today. I have been wanting to do this stream for the longest time. In fact, the whole reason why I started doing streaming was to do streams like this. A lot of you know me as a editor. A lot of you know me through the Rusty Quill. A lot of you know me through me playing lots and lots of dumb games on streams. The biggest thing I actually do is I'm a composer. I make soundtracks for a living. One of my favorite podcasts to score soundtracks for is Shadows at the Door, which the creator of Shadows at the Door, Mark Nixon's in the chat. And I see you've all met him already. Say hi to Mark. Me and Mark are both extremely nervous because we're not used to showing the behind the scenes of it. Hi Miria. Hi Chiari. Hi Jesse. Yeah, so this is a first for me. It's a first for Mark, and we're just going to go into new territory. My, is it a bit blurry? It is kind of a little bit blurry. Not massively, just because the setup's a bit floofy doofy compared to what I usually do for RQ streams. I've not got it set up to the pristine room that I usually do. So bear with me. I can make it a little bit brighter, but now you're going to get me shadow, so I can't do that. Hang on. That's about as much as I can do. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Shadows at the Door. You're following me. That's so sweet. So, Shadows at the Door. Shadows at the Door. I should probably tell you, whilst people who are new. Oh, thank you so much for... Oh, I'm getting co-fights. Thank you so much, everyone. This is so sweet of you. First things first. Well, second things second, rather. We have a Discord. We have the We Talk of Dreams Discord. Link... Oh, I've not whacked it in the doobly-doo yet. I knew I was forgetting something. If you link to... It's in the chat. We have a Discord all about creatives helping creatives. And we've basically made a really nice, close-knit community showcasing on just trying to make a nice place in the world, I guess. Thank you, Tree Father Quinn, for following. I'm being very, very protective of it. And the only real places you will see it getting advertised is either on my streams or on if you're a friend of someone in a Discord. But that means if you're watching the stream, you are humbly welcome to come join us. And I think we're almost at 100 people now, if I remember correctly. It's my favourite place in the world. We just chat about, we send each other dog pics, cat pics, we talk about food, and we just kind of show off our creative things, whether that's music, whether that's cross-stitching, whether that's art, whether that's writing. You're very, very, very welcome to come. And I saw a really heartfelt thing by Lumina, but I'm trying to find it. Lumina, I have to listen to that podcast too. Nietzsche introduced me to so many podcasts I want to listen to. So, Shadows at the Door. Let's do a little bit of background history at Shadows at the Door, and then we're going to begin and go like full on. So, Shadows at the Door is an anthology horror podcast. It is run by Mark Nixon, who is the writer, producer, soundscaper, editor, masterer, we have one actor who's the main cast of David Oltz, who you may know him from No Sleep podcast. And David Olt's been everywhere. He's been on The Wicked Library. He's been on The Lift. He's been in everywhere. For season 1, he was the only actor, if I remember correctly, apart from Mark doing the occasional special appearance. And then for season 2, we expanded it outwards. So we have many, many more actors in and many, many more writers. The idea of Shadows at the Door is to give you... Mark, you're going to tell me off because I'm not going to be using your fancy words. But essentially, we wanted to make it British horror. We wanted to make something which really focused on the acting, the soundscape, and the music. So for those who are really, really used to the way the Magnus Archives work, where the focus is on the voices and the soundscape, we tend to go different with Shadows at the Door. We put a huge, huge focus on the music being almost equal importance to the story and the actors. They all come together to make the story as best as it can possibly be and show it in the best light. That comes first. But we produce it in a much, much different way. And I keep forgetting to put the phone on. Ignore that, it'll go away. I need to disconnect the phone in here. There we go. Really, 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 really. So, with that in mind, I wanted to show off the music in this one. Oh, we are doing level 2 hype train. Thank you so much. Yeah, hard yes. The show will be missing so much on the music. Well, thank you, Mark. We spend a long time on the music. I I hope that I can usually get a month's worth, sometimes a bit less because of deadlines and whatnot. But Mark makes the podcast with the soundscape and then he sends it to me. And between me and Mark, we discuss the feel of the episodes, where we want music, what we want music to do. And we go back and forth. I send lots of demos. He gives me really good feedback back. And then we go cue by cue and play it together. The best way to show you what I do with Shadows at the Door is I'm going to play an entire episode on the stream, but I'm going to show you in my Logic project. So I'm going to be muting my mic, playing the whole podcast episode, and chatting to you in the chat whilst to do it. And afterwards, I'll kind of come back on cam, I'll put my microphone on, and then I'll show you just exactly how I make a horror soundtrack, cue by cue, instrument by instrument, and why I do the choices I do. As my incredible mods have already done. Oh, hey, Joe's mum. How you doing? And hey, everyone in the Discord chat as well. Sorry I'm not on top of my game because I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit more floofy-doofy. Yeah, so with that in mind, please look at the content warnings. These content warnings are associated with the M.R. James story, Canon Albus's Scrapbook, which I probably pronounced wrong. So it's more relating to monsters as opposed to sexual predatory stalking or hunting and whatnot. It's literally predator versus prey. So with that in mind, if you're looking at these content ones and thinking it's a bit heavy, it's lots of those things very briefly mentioned, and it's much more dramatized monster. And with that said, I am going to get this set up and I'm going to show you how we make Shadows at the Door. So bear with me. Going to show you my desktop. There's my desktop. We're going to do that. So I edit in Logic. This blue thing at the top is the audio file containing the narration and the soundscape. And then these fancy little things underneath for all my cues. And I've tried my best to keep the volumes as it is when it gets released, but because I'm a composer, I'm a musician, I tend to have music much louder than it usually is. So if you're finding that the case, trust me that Mark has mixed it expertly when you hear it on the actual podcast. And with that said, let's get to it.
Saint-Bertrand-de-Comminges is a decayed town in the south of France, not very far from Toulouse, and nearer still to Bagnères-de-Luchon. It was the site of a bishopric until the Revolution, and appropriately has a cathedral which is visited by a number of tourists. It was in the spring of 1883 when an Englishman, let's call him Denniston, arrived in this, well, I can hardly dignify it with the name of city. There was barely 1,000 inhabitants. He arrived in this old town. He was a Cambridge man, and had come specifically from Toulouse to see Saint-Bertrand's church. He'd left 2 friends back in their hotel at Toulouse, who, frankly, were less keen archaeologists than himself, and had instead promised to meet him there the following day for a brief visit before moving on in the direction of Auch. Denniston was rather eager, and arrived early on the day in question, determined to fill his notebook and take several dozen photographs as he documented every corner of the wonderful church that so dominates the little hill of Comminges. In order to accomplish all this, it was necessary to occupy the verger of the church for the day. The verger, or sacristan if you prefer, inaccurate though it may be, was sent for by a rather abrupt lady who ran the local inn, and when he came, Denniston found him somewhat fascinating. It was not the personal appearance of the old man. In truth, he looked precisely like dozens of other churchgoers in France, but in the anxious state that was about him. No, not anxious. Hunted. He was perpetually half glancing behind him, forever ready to run, as if he were expecting every moment to find himself in the clutch of an enemy. Deniston hardly knew what to make of him, whether he was haunted by some sort of delusion, or whether he simply had an overbearing wife back at home.
Honestly, this really is fascinating. I really must have a photograph of the stuffed crocodile. How delightfully quaint. Yes. You can go home, you know. I am quite well able to finish my notes alone. You can lock me in if you like. Oh, I'd like at least 2 more hours here. And it must be cold for you, surely.
Good heavens, such a thing cannot be thought of for a moment. Leave Monsieur alone in the church? No. 2 hours, 3 hours, all the same to me. I've had my breakfast. I am not cold at all, with many thanks to Monsieur.
Quite so. Very well. You have been warned.
Before 2 hours had passed, the stalls, enormous dilapidated organ, the choir screen of Bishop Jean de Marlion, the remnants of glass and tapestry, and the objects in the treasure chamber had been well and truly examined. The verger, still very much in a nervous state, had kept whipping around as if he had been stung when 1 or 2 strange noises, that so often trouble an empty building, fell on his ear. Curious noises though they were at times.
What was that?
It is he. No, it is no one. The door is locked. It is just you and I here.
Right you are, then. Actually, I was wondering if I could draw your attention to that large hanging picture behind the altar.
Excuse me, monsieur, which picture?
That one right there, you see. It's another in a series illustrating the miracles of Saint Bertrand. I mean, the composition of the picture is indecipherable, but there is a Latin legend below which runs thus. How Saint Bertrand delivered a man whom the devil long sought to strangle. Do you know anything about it?
Mon Dieu!
Good grief, are you quite all right?
Oui. I mean, yes, monsieur, I was simply...
Look here, it's nearly the end of the day, and I admit these creeping shadows and curious noises are getting even to me, but such things are common in buildings such as these. Let me pack and stow away my equipment, and we shall depart.
Oh, merci, monsieur. Yes, it is nearly 5 and nearly time to ring the Angelus, that is to say, the bell.
Of course. You go safely there.
Is monsieur ready? We must make haste, please.
Yes, indeed. Oh, stop pushing.
Just left here, please. Monsieur seemed to interest himself in the old choir books in the sacristy.
Undoubtedly, I was going to ask you if there was a library in the town.
No, perhaps there used to be one, but it is now such a small place. But if monsieur is amateur de vieux livres, I have something that might interest him. He's not 100 yards.
Is that so?
Oui, monsieur.
I'm surprised a place so close to Toulouse would not have been ransacked long ago by collectors. Though perhaps it wouldn't hurt to see what you have. Although I cannot be back too late to the inn, or they shall wonder where I am. And yes, 2 friends are meeting me rather early in the morning, so, as you can imagine, I must retire early this evening.
That is well, that is very well. Monsieur will travel in company with his friends, and they will always be near him. It is a good thing to travel in company. Sometimes.
Yes, I suppose so.
Here we are.
This house?
Oui, this is my home.
It's rather lovely. And I do like this shield carved into the door. Is it a family crest?
In a sense, monsieur. It is the shield of Albert de Marlion, and he was canon of Comminges in the late 1600s. This was his home.
Oh, I see. Yes, that makes sense. It's certainly an old building, like most of Comminges, I dare add. Right then,
Perhaps after all, monsieur has not the time.
Oh, not at all. We're here now. Let us see what you have.
Papa? Ça va? Je t'ai entendu dehors.
Ne t'inquiète pas, mon cher. C'est l'anglais, je vous ai dit bout.
Bonsoir, madame.
Excusez-moi, my manners. Monsieur, this is my daughter Audrey. Audrey, this is Monsieur Denistun.
Bonjour, monsieur.
We have been in the church today.
L'église? Est-ce que tout va bien, papa?
Oui, oui, mon cher. Mais il riait dans l'église. Now, my daughter, in English, please.
Oui. Yes, papa. Please enter our home.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Oh, that's a rather large crucifix you have here. It's alarmingly lifelike.
Yes. Please, monsieur, sit.
Now then, my friend, what have we here?
Take a look.
Well, a book, is it?
If monsieur will unwrap the fabric. Careful.
It seems too large for a missal and not the shape for an antiphon. Oh my, a folio! My word. I'd say this was bound in perhaps the late 17th century. And here we have your Canon Alberic stamp on the sides. There must be 150 or so leaves of paper in here, illustrated too. Genesis, I'd say 700 AD. And this Latin, could this be fragments of the copy of On the Words of Our Lord? Oh, well, I must say.
If monsieur will turn on to the end.
Oh, yes. Look. Oh. These last two are dated far more recently. Wait, did your Canon Alberic plunder the chapter library to form this scrapbook? He must have. Rather unprincipled, I must say. So here we have an illustration of the church. Anyone could recognize that. Why it's annotated in Hebrew, I'm not so sure.
And monsieur sees the Latin also?
Interrogatum est inveniamne? Responsum, yes. It was asked, shall I find it? Answer, thou shalt. Shall I become rich? Thou wilt. Shall I live an object of envy? Thou wilt. Shall I die in my bed? Thou wilt. Curious. But yes, a good specimen of the treasure hunter's record. Quite reminds me of Mr. Minor Canon Quatermain in Old St. Paul's, actually. Wait, what's this illustration here? My word. What Deniston then saw impressed him, as he has often told me, more than he could have conceived any drawing or picture capable of impressing him. And though the drawing he saw is no longer in existence, there is a photograph of it, which I possess, which full echoes that statement. The picture in question was a sepia drawing at the end of the 17th century, representing, one might say at first sight, a biblical scene. For the architecture, the picture represented an interior, and the figures had that semi-classical flavour about them which artists of 200 years ago thought appropriate to illustrate the Bible. On the right was a king on his throne, elevated on 12 steps with soldiers on either side. Evidently this was King Solomon. He was bending forward with outstretched sceptre in command, his face one of horror and disgust, yet there was in it also the mark of command and confident power. The left half of the picture was the strangest, however, and it was that half that so drew the eyes. On the pavement before the throne were grouped 4 soldiers, surrounding a crouched figure which I must describe in a moment. The 5th soldier lay dead before it, his neck distorted and his eyeballs starting from his head. The 4 surrounding guards were looking at their kin. In their faces that of intense horror, and it seemed they were only restrained from flight by their implicit trust in their master. All this terror was plainly the cause of the creature crouching at their feet. I entirely despise of conveying any words the impression which this figure makes upon anyone who looks at it. I recollect once showing the photograph of the drawing to a lecturer, a person of abnormally sane and unimaginative habits. He absolutely refused to be alone for the rest of that evening, and he told me afterwards that for many nights he had not dared to put out his light before going to sleep. However, the main traits of the figure I can attempt to describe. At first, you saw only a mass of coarse, matted black hair, and it was clear that this covered a body of fearful thinness, almost a skeleton, but with muscles standing out like wires. The hands were of dark pallor, covered, like the body, with long, coarse hairs and hideously taloned. The eyes, burning yellow, had intensely black pupils, and were fixed upon the throned king with a look of beast-like hate. Imagine one of the awful bird-catching spiders of South America translated into human form and endowed with intelligence just less than human, and you will have some faint conception of the terror inspired by the appalling image. One remark is universally made by those to whom I have shown the picture. It was drawn from the life. Oh. Monsieur, is this book for sale? If Monsieur pleases. How much do you ask for it? I will take 250 francs. Good God, man. Your book is worth far more than 250 francs. I assure you, far more. I will take 250 francs, not more. Well, it seems you leave me no further option. I really cannot refuse. 250 francs it is. Yes. As a matter of fact, I have more than enough on my person now. Shall we toast to it? Oui, monsieur. Mon amour, du vin, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Papa.
Lovely. She will not be long. Merci, merci. I'll do the honors. Cheers. À votre santé.
That really was a lovely wine. Ah, merci. And if you don't mind my saying, it's nice to see you relax somewhat.
Merci beaucoup. I shall have the honor of accompanying Monsieur to his hotel.
Oh, no thanks. It isn't 100 yards. I know the way perfectly, and there is a moon after all.
But I insist.
Honestly, I'm fine.
Please, Monsieur.
Really, I'm quite all right.
Then Monsieur will come on me if he finds occasion. He will keep the middle of the road. The sides are so rough.
Certainly, certainly.
Monsieur?
Ah, mademoiselle, thank you again for your hospitality.
A silver crucifix and chain for the neck. Monsieur would perhaps be good enough to accept it?
Oh, well, how lovely. What did mademoiselle want for it?
Nothing. Nothing in the world. Monsieur is more than welcome to it.
Then I shall be honoured. Thank you most kindly.
Thank you, monsieur.
Good night to you both.
Good night.
Good night, Monsieur.
Et bonsoir.
Deniston felt as if he had rendered the father and daughter some service which they hardly knew how to repay. As he set off with his book, they stood at the door looking after him, and they were still looking when he waved them a last good night from the steps of the Chapeau Rouge. Later that same evening, dinner was over and Deniston was in his bedroom, shut up alone with his acquisition. The landlady had manifested a particular interest in him since he had told her that he had paid a visit to the sacristan and bought an old book from him. He thought, too, that he had heard a hurried dialogue between her and the said sacristan in the passage outside the salle à manger. All this time a growing feeling of discomfort had been creeping over him. Nervous reaction, perhaps, after the delight of his discovery. Whatever it was, it resulted in a conviction that there was something behind him. He found that he was far more comfortable with his back to the wall. All this, of course, weighed light in the balance as against the obvious value of the collection he had acquired. And now, as I said, he was alone in his bedroom, taking stock of Canon Alberic's treasures, in which every moment revealed something more charming. Bless Canon Alberic. I wonder where he is now. I really must stop talking to myself. Oh, dear me. I wish that landlady would learn to laugh in a more cheering manner. It makes one feel as if there was someone dead in the house. Oh well, half a pipe more, did you say? I think perhaps you are right. Oh, I wonder what the crucifix is that the young woman insisted on giving me. Last century, I suppose? Yes, probably. It is rather a nuisance of a thing to have round one's neck, just too heavy. Most likely her father has been wearing it for years. I think I might give it a clean up before I put it away. Oh, what on earth is that? A large spider? I trust to goodness not so close to my hand. Good God! A hand! Like the hand in that picture! In another infinitesimal flash he had taken it in. Pale, dusky skin covering nothing but bones and tendons of appalling strength. Coarse, black hairs, longer than ever grew on a human hand. Nails rising from the ends of fingers and curving sharply down and forward. Deniston flew out of his chair with deadly, inconceivable terror clutching at his heart. The creature, whose left hand rested on the table, was rising to a standing posture behind his seat, its right hand crooked above his scalp. It was so much like the drawing. The lower jaw was thin, what can I call it? Shallow, like a beast's. Teeth showed behind the black lips. There was no nose. The eyes of a fiery yellow against which the pupils showed black and intense, and the exulting hate and thirst to destroy life which shone there were the most horrifying features in the whole vision. There was intelligence of a kind in them, intelligence beyond that of a beast, below that of a man. The feelings which this horror stirred in Deniston were the most intense physical fear and the most profound mental loathing. What did he do? What could he do? He has never been quite certain what words he said, but knows that he spoke, that he grasped blindly at the silver crucifix, that he was conscious of a movement towards him on the part of the demon, and that he screamed with the voice of an animal in hideous pain. 2 staff of the hotel rushed in and saw nothing, but felt themselves thrust aside by something that passed out between them, and found Deniston hysterical.
I don't really know. Please.
They sat up with him that night, and by 9 the next morning his 2 friends were at Saint-Bertrand. He himself, though still shaken and nervous, was almost himself by that time, and his story found credence with them, though not until they had seen the drawing. At dawn the verger had come to the inn on some pretence, and had listened with the deepest interest to the story regaled by the landlady. He showed no surprise. His only comment,
It is he. I have seen him myself.
Then he ignored all questions. He would tell them nothing of the book, nor any details of his experiences. And as he left, he said,
I shall soon sleep, and the rest will be sweet.
He died that summer. We shall never know what he or Canon Alberic suffered. However, at the back of that fateful drawing were some lines of writing which can be supposed to throw light on the situation. The dispute of Solomon with the demon of the night, drawn by Alberic de Malléon. Saint-Bertrand, who puttest devils to fight, pray for me most unhappy. I saw it first on the night of December 12th, 1694. Soon I shall see it for the last time. I have sinned and suffered, and have more to suffer yet. December 29th, 1701. History records the date of the canon's death as December 31st, 1701, in bed of sudden seizure. If you would care to view Canon Alberic's scrapbook yourself, it can be found in the Wentworth collection at Cambridge. The drawing was photographed and then promptly burnt by Deniston.
Bear with me, I just got to whack my audio on. Technical issues. Content warning, Nico's unprepared. Okay. Yeah, it's a ravioli. It's a ravioli. I hope you guys can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Yes, you can still hear me. So, that was Shadows at the Door. I put my hoodie on so I can do this. Look at that. Look at that action. This is ravioli. It's one of my comfort crew. So that was an episode of Shadows at the Door. It's one of my favourites. We've done quite a few M.R. James stories. But this one particularly I quite like because it leaves a lot of room for guttural noises and a lot of room to making my instruments sounds like beasts and whatnot. And it's very, very, very fun to do. Oh, thank you, Maria. My usual setup's a bit messy because I usually have things set up, but I can't do it because you guys have seen the screen. I am, Viola, I'm going to put you there for now, going to go into detail now about how I make the music. For that, I'm going to shift the camera angle so you don't see my face, but you're going to see my hands, and you're going to see my hands on the keys. So, I'm going to go quickly to a little break thing, whilst I change the camera angles. I'll be back in like literally 20 seconds. Alrighty. Hey everyone, welcome to me, Ans. Welcome to my desk. It's very, very messy. And apologies to the people chatting to me in Discord. This is the best I can do for now. So, let's go cue by cue. I'm going to mute this and I'm just going to play the music. So, the opening music. I'm going to make it louder as well so there's more focus on it. When you're setting a scene for music, I won't be able to look at chats too much because I'm going to go into monologue form, so apologies if I miss a lot of stuff. When I make the music, especially the opening scene, it's less about, for this episode, it's less about anything musical. It's more about forcing emotions into it, where usually the actor by themselves aren't alluding to it yet. So we use music as little cues, little whisperings of spookiness that's going to come. For this one, I'm going to now show you exactly how I made this. So, this has a lot of little bits. And if we're going to click into this, this is using something called a bottle. Gurdjieff is just what they call it. It's literally a bottle. And if you look at this, I hope you guys can hear that. Tell me if it's too quiet. This piece of kit is a keyboard, but you can wiggle it. You can slide up. And it allows me to make it, rather than just one key being pressed, it allows me to almost play it like I'm playing a violin or like a cello. And it means you can play chords in it. And really, yeah, basically a wiggle board. It's called a Rolly Seaboard Block. It's a little bit expensive, but it allows me to manipulate the sounds. So that's one of the sounds. The other sound is this one, which I've called static. Ooh, voices. And I use this one just to kind of make things a little bit more unnerving. So I think I played it higher. And it's played quite quiet in the score. And it's something just to make it, oh, you can't see my face. It's something just to make you feel slightly unurged for, without you really knowing what it is. So like you can even go. So, with this score, then I'm going to show another score after I've done all this. Oh, you already found it. Yeah, it's a Seaboard Block. Thank you, Zalia. This one's all about sound. So this one is a bowed harp. If I remember, it's just strings. Yeah, this one's the strings are whacked in. And then you can play chords of it. So, when you're making music in this way, when it's very, very ambient, you've got to layer it in a way that it doesn't just sound like random noise. So the way I've laid that all together, yeah, it's kind of like an orchestra warming up. And I've been really, 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 really subtle with how I laid them. Anyway, first cue you ever do for a scene, you always make it sure that it's just creating emotion. So if you play it underneath, I don't think there's anything other than Matt, other than David just talking. Yeah, so.
Saint-Bertrand-de-Comminges is a decayed town in the south of France.
And then if you play it together.
Saint-Bertrand-de-Comminges.
Sorry. Forgot it was very loud. I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm really, really sorry. I won't. I'll turn you down. I'll do that. Sorry, I have to keep going back and forth between the two. Because obviously I've bumped things up to make it loud enough for the podcast. Scene 2 is this one. Very, very bassy, very, very gongy. I'm going to put it up a little bit. And to make this sound, you go into here. Ignore my labeling. My labeling's a bit all over the place for this one. This is a bit more of those strings being used again, but I played them low. And when you play them low, for those who wear headphones, you can hear almost like a rumbling, and that's to give like a really guttural reaction in the headphones. So it actually makes you physically feel it as you listen to it. And then I just laid it a bit more. And it's just played a bit further up. And then the same with more strings. And then, what was lapis? Oh, the fizzy bow, yeah. So, if I remember correctly, this one's played by opening up a piano, getting the hairs from a violin bow, and then basically playing it very, very gently on the strings and the piano. And you get that really rattly, that really stingy sort of sound. And it's almost like vibrations. It's a cross between like a singing bowl and a directly on the strings, yeah. And it's basically all these sounds that you wouldn't normally use for anything other than making a soundscape, making an ambient soundtrack, because obviously you don't want to just listen to that by itself. But when you add it to other stuff, when you've been using it for just the emotions that it's given as opposed to the music, it adds so much there. And you can't really get that any other way than using these sounds. Which is why I invest very, very heavily in the amount of sounds I use. And I study a lot in how to combine the sounds as opposed to classical music theory. Yeah. Which is why it's very prominent in this. Next cue. Oh, this is one of the last. Oh, this was the demo. I'm going to skip that one. This is the original demo that I sent Mark before we did this. Basically what happens is Mark will send me the episode without any music, and who basically asks, can you create a demo so we can figure out what we want the music to be? And this one became that demo. So I've basically took this demo and then used bits of it for every other cue. But this is what we basically wanted the emotions of this episode to be. So you can hear the really, really light, the right cellos playing the arpeggios. Then you've got the gong of the singing bowls played really, really low. And then just basically drawn out. Oh, I realised, because you guys can only see my hands on the keyboard, how much I move my hands whilst I speak. Apologies. Next cue. So this is one of the most spookiest ones. Also, sorry, Discord chat. I promise I'm not ignoring you. Question from whenever you see it. What do you go into it knowing what do you want to do and just building it, or do you have a vibe you play around with it and aim for, or just playing with things? Vin's asking, how do I know how to make these sounds? Well, thank you for your jelly beans. Basically, me and Mark, there's a thing in the industry called reference tracks. And basically what that means is both me and Mark will go away and listen to music. Most of it's Mark. Mark generally has a good idea before he even comes to me what sort of music he wants it to feel like. But we basically listen to our favourite shows, our favourite video games, our favourite podcasts and whatnot, and we kind of make like a mood board. And it's kind of like, we like the strings from that, or we like the emotions from that, or we like the atmosphere that this brings. And we kind of mood board it. And then from there, we figure out exactly what we want to do. That's the basis. And then me and Mark will add our own personality to it. Even though it's horror, I do very much feel like this is still We Talk of Dreams. I very much feel like when you can hear one of these tracks being played, it still feels like me. So it's taking all those other shows and then transforming it into something new, which is what I do here. This one, if I remember correctly, has got more bottles, so that's more airways being blown. That's very low. You want to see one of those music modes. If I've got one of the emails I need to collect from Mark, I'll kind of show you what we do. It's nowhere near as cool as I am making it out to be. It's much more just sort of like, I listened to this music last night, that was cracking, let's do something like that. So this is one of the dings. No, it's very cool. Sorry, Mark, it's very, very cool. Don't know what I'm talking about. So that's dings. I had dings in. Bottle, I think that's just a bottle again, is it not? Yeah. And then origins. I'm sorry, I couldn't be bothered naming things properly in this one. Yeah, that's more bottle. It's a bit all over the place. The next one. Oh, this is the one that... Yeah, this one's good. Okay. This starts to bring in new sounds. So this... So what this does is it's a singing bowl. But what they've done is they've taken out the initial hits and then they just leave what it sounds like afterwards. So you can't hear the ding, but you hear the after effect of the ding. I mean, you can really play with it. No joke. I mean, I don't really want to say you need this instrument, but this instrument has transformed the way I create music. Because it's not just playing a keyboard, it's like a keyboard, a piano, and like a violin, because you can wiggle it and, you know. The noise maker is happy. Well, thank you, Maria. But yeah, this is another one where I mess around with the sounds. This one is bell. Yeah, there's the creepy bell. And I played around with it that it's got a delay in it, so it's not just one bell, but it just keeps on going. Sounds you can feel with your entire brain. Thank you, Turf. And then as the cue progresses, more flute. So this is a progression from the bottle noises when I wanted something to sound a bit more musical. This is literally flutes. But normally wouldn't play it that nicely. It's so laid into the spookiness. So when you play it low, it just sounds a little grumbly. Then there's this one, which is more the fizziness. And then, if I remember correctly, I'll try and make sure this isn't played too loudly. I'll turn you down. Patreon bonus naps. So, that's what the finished cue sounds like. And it's basically just layering all these together. It's not musical. It's very much more on the emotion attached to it. There'll be a score I'm going to show you after this where I'll focus more on the musical aspect of it rather than the emotion aspect of it. This cue coming up next is very low. Whoa, very, very, very low. Phobos. Yeah. So this one is actually using the keyboard because it's a synth. Basically what this big ass beast of a synth does, it's called BT Phobos. And you can input lots of different source sounds and then you can play around with the attack and the decay, add filters to it, just lots and lots of stuff. But for this one I just wanted some bells. So I added bells. Yeah, I'm glad this is useful. Tell me if there's any questions, please let me know. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I don't know how useful this is, but I really, really like talking about this. So if you've got any questions, please tell me your questions. Oh, what's this one? I can't remember this one. You're very quiet as well. Is it because you're low? Mystery sounds. I don't know what you are. Oh, there it is. It was on the keyboard. Quiet boops. How do I warm up for music making sessions like this? When it comes to music like this, I don't warm up. I kind of wait for inspiration to hit. So it's generally I'll listen to Spookiness for a while. I'll usually play Bloodborne if I'm in the mood to play some. If I'm in to make some horror music, I usually play quite a lot of Bloodborne until I feel it, or I'll listen to the episode quite a few times before I've added the music. Because with Shadows at the Door, I don't want to be too regimented with it. I don't want it to feel like I'm painting by numbers with the score. So I kind of leave it very, very... I want to make sure it's something magical when it happens. And it's not me sort of... Except Telltale. Oh, it's Telltale V episodes. Yeah, there's one episode in Shadows at the Door which... very, very glad we did it. I don't think I could personally listen to it again because it hit content warnings, which I struggled to do. We produced it with a focus on the Me Too movement. And we had Erica Sanderson, if I remember correctly, or was it Gemma Moore? I think it's Erica Sanderson, who had a very long discussion at the end about the subjects in it. Yeah, that's one of the few times where I couldn't actually listen to the episodes, but I made the musical cues because it was too dark for me. And it's the same lot because I work in Magnus as well. But yeah, anyway, the funnest bit of this entire cue was this one, which is when here. It's when all the strings come in. And I get to play my new toys. So, if I remember correctly, it's this one here. Yeah. This has really low strings. And it's done by the London Contemporary Orchestra. And it's them dragging their bows across really slackened cellos and basses. And it gives you that really horrible bluesy sound. I'll play some of the other ones I've got quite a few here. Basically what these instruments are, the way this works is these musicians get into a recording booth. Oh, you can't see us properly. I'll move this over here. Can I move it over here? Is that if I'm going to get a bit... Yeah, there you go. That should be okay. The way these work is that the musicians go into a recording booth and literally go, play this note, now play this note another way, now play this note another way. And they do it for every single note on their instrument until you've got about 20,000 different samples. And then they tie it all together so then I can do things like playing it on the keyboard. So you've got like spiccato. Or you've got some harmonics. Or you've got spectral scrubs. Or you've got slackens, shortens. And then you've got pizzicato, which is there. It allows me to basically make all the sounds that you wouldn't normally be able to do unless you had your own orchestra with you. Then you got tuition. So that was one of them I used. There was more bottles in it. Oh, this one was fun. I'll move you back over here. Oh, you're not playing. Oh, you are. You're just very quiet. I very, very quietly used you. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. So this sounds really, really unnerving. And then that's all play that. It's meant to just give you like a really short little... Sorry about the camera angle. Not the best at camera angles. A little bit of spook. And then there was more bows. And then what you basically do is you layer it all together. Was this one's bottle as well? Oh, this is the gamma stand. What? Yeah. I'm not quite sure how they made this sound. I just know that it sounds cool. Uncomfortable noises. Neeks, we've got to talk about samples, mate. I want to have an orchestra. We can talk about samples. I'm sure you're amazing. Thank you for the jelly beans. I'm sure your boyfriend knows a lot about samples too. Though his is more synth based. And that, in a nutshell, is how you make atmosphere for an episode of Shadows at the Door which isn't musical. What I'm going to show you now, you can still see my hands, is I'm going to take you to another episode. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but I am going to show you the music, where the music is much more musical. This one is called Bread and Salt. And I'm probably wrong because Marcus knows a lot more than me. This is based off Russian folklore. Yeah, it is. And it's more, I mean, it is got ghostly spookiness in it, but it's much more about a love story. So we needed the music to be another way. Let that do its thing. It's going to take a little while to load up because there's a lot of stuff going in there. JJ, I imagine you have a sound gel gelid instruments that you reach on to force to chew on. Okay. So, it's still got a lot of layers, but I'm going to play you some of these. If truth be told, this is probably my favourite score in the entirety of Season 2. And it's very, very different to what we normally do. It's both our favourites. Is that sound okay? Is it too quiet? Let me know. Also, yeah, Mark, you need to join our Discord. So this is using a lot of real instruments. It's got, ignore it called guitar because it's not called guitar. It's a harp, it's cello strings, and a bass string as well. And then I'm going to move this over because this, I don't think I actually use my squiggly keyboard for it. I think I use it all on the actual keyboard. If I remember correctly, what are we in? What key are we in? We're in D. Is that D? What are you? Are you C? Oh, G. I think we're in G. I think we're in G minor. Okay. So, this is using real instruments. Yeah. The thing is, I don't remember, my hands remember how I played this more than my actual memory does. Using harps. So, everything exploding now. Hang on, sorry lads. Hang on, bear me. Soz. Oh yeah, there's a We Talk of Dreams Discord. We get fancy over here. Okay. When you are doing anything folklore-esque and you want it to feel traditional, I use something called a modes. The traditional music scale has 8 notes. Modes have 5 notes. And it generally sounds best if you use a harp. It just makes it feel more fantasy-esque, I guess. So that's using a bit of music theory. Because if I just use the G minor scale, there's too many notes in there. It sounds too advanced, so I skip notes. And then I have underneath. Let's go to that. Go with that. Oh, I got the Oliver Arnolds at this point. Let's turn it up. This thing is incredible. This is a chamber string orchestra. And it allows me to make huge sweeping string arrangements. These are very quiet. I'm probably going to go to another cue. So this one has less control. This is more me picking the notes. But this is done by a composer called Oliver Arnolds, who is Icelandic, and he is an unbelievable genius at this stuff. I'm going to mute you. Where's the next? I'm probably going to hunt for that cue. I'll go to strings in a bit. Oh, it's here. JJ, I'll try to. There's a lot, but I'll do my best. So, this is where it gets technical. Because when you're writing for strings, you need to know your music theory. There's no way around doing it. You really need to know how to write for four voices. Generally speaking, you've got violins, violas. Hi everyone, I'll kind of come down here. You've got violins, violas, cellos, and basses. And the four different instruments, four voices, and you kind of have to think of them as four people having a conversation with each other. You kind of want them a little bit differently so it doesn't sound too similar, but you can't have too many people talking over each other. So, when you're doing that, you need to know your voices, and you can do fancy things. So... Sorry about the loudness. I've turned it back down. I've turned it to here. Sorry. Is that better? I know. This is by far my favourite instrument that I own. The chamber strings in general, are just the most beautiful instruments that I have. And then when you play it in concert at the cue, I really hope this isn't going to be loud now. And then the trick is when you're playing chords, you don't play them all at the same time, you kind of stagger it. So you get this sort of arpeggiated sound going on. And it's it's a quick cheat in writing strings, but I really am sorry, there's no quick way of learning it. This one, I'm assuming, didn't make the cut. Yeah, 9 minutes didn't make the cut into the final episode, and I think it's because it wasn't needed. Yeah. So, I'm not going to play the actual episode in this one. But for this cue, I tried to make it sound more spooky. But what has actually ended up happening is it just sounds nonsensy. It's too busy. There's too many notes going on and I couldn't make it work. So we cancelled it. Yeah, here, if you look at here. Yeah, it's really disjointed because you got that one and then you got this one underneath as well. And then we ended up just cancelling it and not using it. The guitar. Did I use guitar in this? I must have done. I don't know when my guitar's gone though. I lost the guitar. Guitar follows the same stuff. This is a really beautiful track. I don't know what I've done with the actual raw file though. I wonder if it's this one here. Maybe. I don't know what I did with it. I just lost it. Did I put you here? No. Sorry lads, I lost that file. Well, you're welcome, Striker Flynn. I'm glad it's useful and it's not too much, it's not too vague. Oh, Discord. Sorry, I know you're going to tell me for saying that. Okay. Oh no, there was lots. The piano is going to go and see a castle. This one. Oh, this one's fun. This one's fun. I'll show you how this one works. Is that going to be too loud? It's about the same. Okay, the evolution grids. You hit this dice, and you got strings which are just playing something calm. You got things that are playing things spooky. You got things that are playing things dramatic, and you got things that are playing things off of key. And what I generally do is I hit this randomize button, and then it will assign random different samples to it. So take this for instance. And then if I add stuff at the top, it's a way of distorting what's going on whilst keeping the same notes being played. And then if you compare that to, let's just randomize again. And now it's the same notes, but it's a different combination of randomization. So it's slightly more discordant, but it kind of sounds a bit more nicer, a bit more neutral as opposed to creepy. And it's the exact same notes that I'm playing. I'm not playing anything differently. But it's really, really good when you don't know what to do. You know what chords are right, but you don't know how to make it sound the way you do. So generally I just use this tool as a little randomizer before I can figure out exactly what I want to do. Same notes again, just sounds different. I'm catching bits of chat. This is what I do after I've been composing for about 7-8 years. I've been a composer my entire life, but composing soundtracks I started about 7 years ago. So I've amassed quite a lot of instruments, and because it's my full-time job, I've invested a lot of resources into it. So apologies if you're looking at all these sounds and then Googling it and then realizing how expensive this stuff is. I didn't want to shy away. I have invested a lot, but I wanted to show you exactly how we made Shadows at the Door. I didn't want to pretend we used something less than what we actually use. But that doesn't mean you need to spend the money that I've spent on it. It doesn't mean you need to use the same instruments I've used. It just means that's what I have at my disposal. So this one's using guitar. And then if I show it a cue. Oh, guitar pad. I used a guitar pad. Yeah, I did. So this is a... Oh, is my voice really loud? Sorry. I'll turn it down. It's because I'm... I'll finish the thing. I know. Sorry, Anna. Sorry, I know. It's because I'm using raw audio before I've mixed and mastered it up. It's because I'm using raw audio that I'm mixing and mastering up. So the volumes are going to be all over the place. But music. Whoa, really loud. Sorry. This is done the same way as the orchestras. But instead of it being a full orchestra, it's a guitar. And then we play it soft. Sounds like that. When you play it louder, it sounds like guitar. And then... yeah, it's the theme song to the... Loosely. Guitar pad, which is this one. Is basically someone's they've got rid of the pluck of when you play guitar, and they've just left the tail of it. And it's how you make it sound spooky. Because you gotta have a little bit of spook in there. You can't just have it all nice and lovely. Bit of spook for the lads. This is Ambient Guitars by Spitfire Audio. Spitfire Audio is one of my favourite music companies. And yeah, I really like it. Little spooky as a treat for the lads. This may be a bit loud. I'm going to turn you down just in case. Oh, this is just the bassy strings. So, same chords as previous themes, it's just played very quiet and low down. And then over here, I've just added another layer to it. Oh, that one didn't get used. My favorite ones aren't getting used. Maybe it was. Why did we not use this one? Oh, same reason. Too discordant. Sounds too all over the place. Because here-ish, at 1944, is when there's a ghost appearance. So I tried to make it sound spooky, but me and Mark decided we wanted it to sound more focused on the lovey side of it, the relationship side of it, than opposed to here's a monster, here's spooky music for the monster. So we didn't use it, which is why it's put out in grey. This one's good. I like this one. And then this is me playing the piano. Oh, Zalia, are you still in the chat? I don't want to call Zali out if Zali's not here, but Zali, if you're still here, I need to show you something really cool. Cool, you're still here. So, I'll just play out this cue first. This beautifully soft piano is this one here. It's called the Woodchester piano, and this piano was performed in Huddersfield. It's made by Huddersfieldians, and it's produced in Huddersfield. It's from Yorkshire. It's a Yorkshire piano. I've got to make sure it's not loud. Okay, we're good. We're good. This piano I use everywhere because I love it. It's one of my... It is so soft. And the way they made this piano is they basically got someone to play the keys very, 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 very slightly. And they basically put the microphone right next to the keyboard, like an actual piano keyboard. So you get the little clicks and the little clacks and the little, you know? But obviously, because now I know everyone's watching me, I can't remember anything I've ever played in my entire life. As is the way it always goes. But yeah. Generally speaking, whenever I'm making a song, piano... I always start a piano first. Because I'm trying to figure out the melody of stuff. So even though most times I won't have a piano in the final score... Most of the times it's a piano what I've used mostly just to get ideas out. I'm trying to remember any song. I've written loads and loads of songs and my mind is just saying, you don't know any songs, you've never written any songs. I can't remember anything. But yeah, it's my favourite instrument, and it's just a bonus points that it was made in Huddersfield. Toto by Africa. I don't know that one. I wish I did know that one. On to the next cue. I'm just going to play it so it's not too loud. Yeah, so more Russian folk song, using modes from G minor, and making it sound all pretty and cute. Next cue. Is more chilled out guitar. And basically with this one, we use the same melody and the same riffs throughout, and we just kind of peppered it around because the main focus of this was on a love story. So we kind of used this as like little reminders that this bit's a lovely bit part of the scene. This bit's a bit more of the emotional part of the scene. Def has that folklore vibe. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, that was the main feel. I'm so happy this is in the show because it's my favorite thing we've done. I think this may be... What are you? Oh yeah, this is the spookiness. Oh, here's Ben doing it on his voice. Oh really? It's the quickest one we produced. So this is using a mixture of that guitar pads that I showed you before, and then is also using the chamber waves. Chamber grid. Ooh, but it was on evolutions. Ooh. Songs to smooch to your ghost wife too. And it's underneath. I'm going to make sure this is quiet.
Okay?
Okay. The bread is fresh, and you have done what many do not think to do. Henceforth now you will respect the forest, take only what is spare and protect what is here, yeah?
It's there to set the mood for that cue, rather than to be melodical on its own. Did we not use my favourite cue from this? Or is that from a different song? My favourite cue I've ever done, and I don't think it's actually in this one, is the one that I played right at the start. But this is more... Spoilers, sorry, yeah, you're right. I picked the worst one to choose, but yeah, there's spoilers in there. I'm guessing this isn't the one we used for one of the episodes. We picked The Last of Us, as in the game, as the influence. And it has one of my favourite cues in, but I don't think it's in this episode, because it's the one I played at the start. It was this one. I do love those strings. I'm just going to isolate those strings and let them play by themselves. Hit. Hey, Safy Saf. And it's using more of the chamber waves again. But those are just in the normal. I can play around with the sound. So now they're playing Tremolo. So it's very, very, very wobbly. You can play it to harmonics. Playing really short. Playing a bit longer. Anyway, I can wax lyrical about Oliver Reynolds all day long. Is it really in this score? There's one song on Edge for Days. Oh, I guess it's not. I guess that's a different one, because this one's my favourite score. My favourite song in the entire thing is this one. The Discard Love Good. This is my favourite cue in the entire thing, and I can't remember which episode it is. But it's my favourite thing I've made for Shadows on the Door. I'm gonna put you back up. Hey up. Hey everyone. Oh, this is Blessed Be the Man. Little Telltale's Walking Dead as well. I lost, my hard drives crashed in partway through this season, so I no longer have the logic file for this episode. This is my favourite song. Anyway, this is pretty much everything I have. I'm going to go into the big screen now. I'm even. Yeah, I'm gonna go into the big screen and I'm gonna conclude. Where's big screen? There you are. There I am. That was Shadows at the Door. I hope this was somewhat insightful. I hope this was helpful. I want to do more of these streams, more musical streams, and I want to do more streams where I kind of show you how I make music from the start to finish. But yeah, Shadows at the Door is one of my favorite podcasts that I do. If you're a big fan of horror, I would wholly recommend going to listen to it because there's a lot of heart and a lot of soul made in a production budget which is close to zero. We get by in the basic like a shoestring budget to make the show. Yeah, you don't really need to start on any episode because it's a horror anthology, but for the true experience, I would recommend starting straight away from season 1, episode 1, and then just working your way through. We've kept the production quality high throughout. Obviously, we're learning how to do things in season 1, but we're never going to be... We kind of make sure every episode is produced perfectly to its own thing rather than trying to outdo it with the next episode, if that makes sense. It's not a Magnus. It's not Magnus. It's maybe anthology is the wrong words. Anthology is probably the wrong words. I don't know. I call it anthology. I could be wrong. Anyway, each episode's a standalone episode, but we have a character called Professor Troughton. Thank you so much for the jelly beans. We have a character called Professor Troughton who keeps popping up throughout the seasons with various other spooky stuff. But yeah, I hope you really liked it. There's links to Mark Nixon's Shadows at the Door. Well, Mark Nixon and myself, because I'm the composer for it. And I hope you like it. Next week, Troughton, my boy. Next week, we'll be going back to Night in the Woods, playing on the Friday, if I remember correctly. And we're pretty close to ending that now. I think there's only 1 or 2 more streams left worth of that. And then we'll be playing more games. But until then, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, a huge thank you to my mod team. They are incredible and they help me out immensely, and I could not do what I could do without them. If you want to keep chatting to us, you can join our Discord, which also isn't in the doobly-doo because I've still yet to do it. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for following me. Tear me up and pour me out. Oh, I like that name. You can also follow me on social media at We Talk of Dreams. If you want to support what we do here, we have a Ko-Fi set up. We have merch for official Beeps merch, which I've not used them once this stream. My apologies, Beeps. We've got Beeps. And all the money gained from the streams goes to help resourcing this Twitch channel. But until then, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to close out with more artwork that someone's very kindly done. This one's by Purple Almonds, who some know by Tiffany. She's incredible. She is immensely talented. I am so very lucky to get artwork from Tiffany. And yeah, I hope you check you guys soon. Have a really good day. Bye bye.